Welcome back to Understanding Macros Part 2. Today it's carbohydrates. So, made Part 1 2 days ago on protein. If you haven't checked that one out, go watch that one. They're not really in chronological order, but definitely good to know about protein because I wouldn't say it's like the most important. Honestly, this one probably might be the most important because most people don't know how to use carbs correctly for their training or just like their diet overall. So if you're going to take notes on anyone, just take notes on this one, the carbohydrates episode. Then part 3 will be on fats. So anyways, let's dive in. This is going to be not too long, but definitely some good information in here. So first of all, what are carbohydrates? Basically, I'm not going to go into like the basic shit. Carbohydrates are a tool for training. They're not essential for life. So like you can go your whole life without having a single gram of carbohydrates and you'll still live. Like you're not going to die because we have a little system in our body called gluconeogenesis. Basically what that is when you don't eat carbs, you don't have any glucose for your body to use as energy. So your body actually converts protein into glucose through gluconeogenesis. So that's like a little bonus tip there, you could say. But basically, what I like to think of carbs as, it's like a supplement. It's like a supplement for your training because it's not essential for life. Like you don't have to eat carbs, but it is very good to eat and use as a tool and a supplement at the correct times, which we will get into. I'm going to explain basically how to use that in this video. So that's like the basic things you need to know. If you just walk away with one thing, just make sure, well, no, there is more, but just know that it's a tool. It's not like a necessity, and you should learn how to use it correctly. So what actually matters for you, what to know. So carbs are the most potent macronutrient or like food. Yeah, I mean macronutrient to spike your insulin. So basically what insulin does, if you haven't watched any other videos on my channel, and I know this camera fucking kind of sucks. This is just like my MacBook like FaceTime camera thing, but don't mind that. I'm gonna get a new camera eventually just to like make these videos better. But I mean it's not even that bad. But yeah, insulin, anyways, insulin basically is a storage hormone. So when you eat insulin, bro, I can't even fucking talk. When you eat carbs, you spike insulin, which basically makes you store the nutrients and makes your cells like store the nutrients that you're eating. So basically, eat carbs to spike insulin, and you want to use this around your training to build muscle and then for fat loss as well. So basically, insulin pre and post workout, which we're going to get into, to build muscle because it's going to make you not break down muscle. And then also post workout, it's going to shuttle all nutrients to your muscle cells. And then you want to keep carbs low outside of training to keep insulin low to make yourself burn more fat. Because if insulin is high, then you can't really tap into your own body fat for energy. So you want to specifically time these correctly. So next thing is glycogen. So another function of carbs is to replenish your glycogen stores. Basically what glycogen is, it's like a carbohydrate battery. It's like stored glucose in your muscles and in your liver. So basically your body taps into this as needed for exercise. So specifically post-workout, this is good for replenishing the glycogen in your muscles and in your liver so that you can come back and have energy for a hard workout next time. If you're not, I mean, if you're watching this channel, I doubt that you're like sedentary. Like you're probably going to the gym, maybe hopefully doing cardio because I preach about that a lot. So definitely, storing glycogen is a lot of the energy that you're using in your workouts. So very important here. Next little topic is fast digesting versus slow digesting carbs. So fast digesting, otherwise known as AKA simple carbs, these are the ones that spike insulin the fastest and the highest. So basically it's like the high glycemic index carbs. So like fruits, honey, white rice, things that digest quickly are going to raise your blood sugar very fast. And that also raises insulin very fast. So you can use that for specifically for training, post workout. And then on the other side of this is slow, complex digesting carbs. that spike insulin a lot slower and not that high. So it's like if you think of a graph, this would be fast acting carbs. They spike insulin high and fast, and then it'll crash a little bit, faster. And then the slow is going to be way more of like a longer curve, but it's not going to go as high for your insulin spike. So knowing how to use these correctly, depending on your training and depending on the meal that you're eating and like what you have coming up in your training, maybe like the next day, I'll get into this too as well. But examples of this would be sweet potato and oats. I don't really eat oats. I definitely recommend more sweet potato, but I mainly just focus on like the simple digesting carbs. They're just more practical to use for training, and that's pretty much the only times that I'm eating carbs in the first place is around my training. So I'm pretty much like I'd say like 80 to 90% of the time just eating simple carbs. Like my favorite is honey and fruit. I'll sometimes have some white rice as well. And then I don't like neglect sweet potatoes, but I don't use them like every day. Like they are very nutritious, like they're really good food to use, but for the purpose of spiking insulin, it just depends on your training. Because like for me personally, like my training style, and dude, I'm getting so fucking off track, but I mean, it makes sense for this video. But for sweet potato, it's just you want to do it if you're going to train like later in the day and you're not going to eat for a while, then have some sweet potato or some slow digesting carbs to fuel that workout, later on. Or if you're not going to train for the rest of the day, but you have like a hard workout coming up, let's say like tomorrow, then having some slow digesting carbs is very good. Going back to glycogen, because it's going to store glycogen, it's not going to spike insulin, also going to preserve insulin sensitivity as well to keep you the most sensitive to those insulin spikes, which is also a whole nother topic. But yeah, okay, so next up is fructose and glucose. Sometimes I just fucking trip my words up. Yeah, fructose and glucose. So combining fructose and glucose provides higher nutrient uptake in your post-workout meal. So I do this every single post-workout meal. This is essential if you want to gain the most muscle possible. You want to combine fructose and glucose. Basically how this works is the different types of carbs, so fructose and then glucose, have different like pathways. I don't know like the specific like names of these pathways, but there's different pathways that uptake the glucose into your body. So you're just uptaking more nutrients, and then you're just like absorbing and having a bigger response to those nutrients. So definitely combine these. That's really like the simple terms of all you need to know. Just this does work. Like you can go into like the rabbit hole of this. I don't know the specifics of like the science pathways and everything, but this does work. So in your post-workout meal, what I do, I like to use honey. So like right after I get home from the gym, I might bring this to the gym sometimes. I don't do this all the time, but spike insulin with some honey because it has a 1-to-1 ratio of fructose and glucose. So basically you're getting, like the same amount of glucose and fructose in honey. And also you could do some fruit, some white rice for, both fructose and glucose, fructose being the fruit, and rice is, I'm pretty sure it's like 100% glucose. So mix these two and you will definitely like absorb more nutrients in your post-workout meal. And the next thing is carbs do not make you fat. I know it's like pretty low level shit if you think carbs make you fat. Like you just don't understand how your body works if you believe that. But basically just learn how to use carbs like for your training. They're a tool. Like I said, they're a supplement for your training. That's how I look at them because, I'm just repeating myself. They're just not essential for life, but they are a tool that you can use. So how to use your carbs day to day. Basically, all you need to know, like the distilled version of all of this and what your action steps are, what you're going to change in your training and your diet. Use carbs pre and post workout. I wouldn't say only because you can also do it outside of that if you're going to do some slow digesting carbs. I would add this if it's outside of your window, then only do slow digesting. Because if you do fast digesting carbs outside of a training window, then you're just going to spike insulin high when you don't need to. It's just like counterproductive, and it's going to lower the sensitivity for the next time. So slow digesting carbs only if you're gonna fuck, I don't even know what I said, but just do pre and post workout, and then outside of that, slow digesting carbs. Use slow digesting carbs for lower insulin spikes, like I explained earlier, and then fast digesting for quick insulin spikes. Just know the difference between those two so you can use them properly. And this is my day example how I use carbs around my training in my day. So basically, first thing in the morning I'll eat is eggs and avocado. This has like maybe 4 grams of carbs in the avocado. So I don't really count this. It's not really like a significant amount of carbs. Next up is pre-workouts. So I'll have like 15 to 40 grams of carbs, just depending on the workout that I'm doing. Today I just hit legs, so it's a harder workout by nature. So I had around 40 grams on the higher end of carbs here, specifically with fruit and honey. That's what I like to do I usually do like a yogurt bowl. If you follow my Instagram, you'd see this all the time. Post that on my stories, and like that's what I do throughout my day. And then number 3, post-workout, combined fructose and glucose, like I mentioned earlier. And then if I'm not going to train, maybe you're going to have some slow digesting carbs, just depending on next day training. So if you're going to have a heavy day of training tomorrow, then you can use some, like some sweet potato to, replenish glycogen, top off those glycogen stores all the way, and give yourself all the energy that you need for the next day's training. So that's basically all you need to know. Basic, like, high level overview of carbohydrates. Pretty sure like this is all you need to know. That just like use them as a tool. Don't just eat them randomly. Just use carbs with intention for your training. If you're going to take away anything, use carbs with intention for your training. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Stay tuned for part 3 on fats, and I'll catch you in the next one.